about it. Please show your love for Cathy Hughes, Agent H. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you a conversation.
And thank you all for being here tonight. I want to wish you a happy Thursday. Every day that we have another day, we should put more latitude in our gratitude. Will the church say? Yeah. There it is, there it is. I am so proud to be here tonight to have a conversation with a dear friend and mentor. When I left Governor Wilder's office in 1994, I went to Washington, D.C. with the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights and the Law, where I came into the sphere of this queen for us tonight. And before we even start, give her another hand. The iconic Cathy Hughes. Cathy, first and foremost, I want to thank you for your extra effort in even getting here tonight. Some may have seen you come in on a walker, and I thank you. I've always said that great love requires great effort. Wow. If I tell Councilwoman Lambert, baby sister, I love you, and she breaks down on 64 at 2 in the morning, and I say call AAA, that's not good effort. And that's not great effort. And so tell us about your effort in even getting here tonight.
Wow. Well, first and foremost, I want to give praise and thanks to God, from whom all blessings.
Hallelujah.
I try never to be on a microphone without first thanking God. I don't take it for granted that God has blessed me to amplify my voice. And that's a very special blessing. I had to speak to a class, the class of 2016 at Howard University. I had promised, you know, I had to fulfill a commitment, and so I apologize for being late and missing the mayor, although I heard part of his comments from the hallway, but I have a slip disc. And I am trying to prove that the only alternative is not surgery.
All right.
And for 5 weeks I was bedridden. I've been up for 3 weeks thanks to Melvin Crowley, who literally fussed me out. He told me that I need to get up out the bed, I need to get moving, and I need to thank God that I was alive. And so, Mr. Crowley, I thank you, because I could not have been here this evening had you not literally fussed me out. He's been singing me scripture like he's a preacher. I know you all probably don't know that side of Melvin, right? Right, he's been sending me scripture. He sent me all types of organic herbs and creams, and he has literally been my nurse in attendance, and I thank you very much for that.
Your sojourn from the nation's capital to the capital of the Confederacy, the former capital, wink wink, the former capital of the Confederacy, let's just say that for the sake of argument. This is not your first time. Tell us about your arrival in Richmond many years ago.
40 years ago, a woman in Washington, D.C. took me under her wing. And her name was Yetta Walker Galabert. And she said, have you ever been to Richmond, Virginia? And I said, no. She said, well, I want to take you to a community meeting in Richmond, Virginia, because I come from a very distinguished family. She said, do you know who my Uncle Oliver is? And I said, no. She said, Oliver Hill and Maggie Walker, that's my family. And we have made an impact on the city of Richmond, and we're not being recognized. They're not being recognized for it. Yetta Galabert literally ran Washington, D.C. There was no social action in Washington, D.C. that did not involve Yetta. Yetta got legislation passed on the Hill for people of special needs, with special needs. She's the reason there are ramps that are required in all of the buildings. She participated in a program where brothers and sisters who had gotten excessive sentencing were released. I was in a program with her. They got a gentleman who worked for me for about 22 years and then transitioned, who was driving down the street, saw a man beating a woman, stopped and pulled him off of the woman, punched him, and the guy fell and hit his head, and they gave the brother a life sentence for rescuing him. She got him out of prison, and he was only one of many, and placed him in my company with me, where he worked for 21 years. The work that she did in Washington, D.C., I had never seen anything comparable to it. She was very close to you, and she brought me here. So my very first involvement with you all and the community was because of Yetta. I have been in business in Richmond for almost 25 years now. So a lot of folks want to say that I'm kind of late to the party. I don't think so. I've been at the party the whole time, but I'm so quiet and withdrawn, some of you all may not have noticed. All right, so I will try to be a little bit more outspoken.
Please do. And everybody enjoyed the meal tonight with a head nod. How many people chose Italian dressing? In your cupboards, you have Italian dressing. It's on a shelf. You recognize it because the oil's at the top and the good stuff's at the bottom. What do you do before you put it on your salad?
Shake it up.
That's why she's here, to shake it up. Now, I just returned from Mississippi, speaking for a congressional candidate in Gulfport, and it came to mind of the Piney Woods Institute. Talk about your family connection in the history of Piney Woods in Mississippi.
How many of you in this room have ever heard of the Piney Woods School in Piney Woods, Mississippi? Ah, good. Well, in 1909, my mother's father, Dr. Lawrence C. Jones, had just graduated from Iowa State University with his EDD, comparable to a PhD, only in education, and he decided that God had blessed him to go all the way through graduate school and that he should give something back to his people. So he went to Mississippi because he knew that brothers and sisters were not even allowed to read and write, could not. And he started a school that is now 117 years old, is still in operation. And the interesting thing is, as Gary well knows, we don't charge the children who attend Piney Woods. I don't think that out of the entire student body that we have 2 who pay full tuition. And we don't get government subsidies or help. We raise the money to educate these children. It's the work that my family has been in the area of education. We understood early on that education, if it is conducted as a business, then it will be sustainable. One of the mistakes is so often, so many of our HBCUs are in trouble because they are not being run as businesses. You're supposed to make a profit off the bookstore. Okay? You're supposed to make
May the church say amen.
Okay. You're supposed to absolutely generate. If you're going to be teaching young people how to conduct business with their lives, we need to be conducting it at the institutions that are training them how to conduct business. So my family has been in the business of education, and we are unapologetic about the fact that we see it as a business, we see it as a mission and an obligation to help our people. But we could not do this without having to depend on the government. When we depend on the generosity of ourselves, our community, and other goodwill individuals, then we maintain a certain level of independence.
Say that word again.
Independence.
Now, with that said, Piney Woods School in Mississippi outperforms the public schools in Jackson.
That's right.
And in Pearl. Okay.
And in Gulfport, and Meridian.
And Biloxi, where I was last night.
Yes.
And that segues into independence. Your family also is connected to the great Frederick Douglass,
Absolutely.
who was an independent thinking man and surrounded himself by independent thinking women. Please.
So this is an interesting story. I have wondered about myself for many generations. I turned 75 in April. And I can't tell you how many years I wondered, I just turned into a warrior when I see people being mistreated, when I see people being left out. Let me just kind of digress for a moment. We did not come to Richmond, Virginia to build a casino. We came to Richmond, Virginia to tell you all that a casino opportunity was going to take place in this city that you all were going to be left out of. We came here to spread the message. Once we got here, we found out that there was not enough scale in terms of the size of the black businesses to get the hundreds of millions of dollars that it would take to build that casino. That's how we accidentally ended up being the face of the company that would put the money up to build the casino. It is also why this city got the best deal. There is no city in the entire United States of America that got the deal that Richmond got. Because we're not in the casino business, we're in the media business. So everything that you all said you needed, we said yes to. We said yes to guarantee $500 million, $50 million a year, and giving the city a signing bonus of $25 million. We did that because we were the messengers that brought the message, and when we found out that there was a need for us to step forth and take the leadership in that for the citizens of Richmond, we were willing to accept that responsibility. But I want to make that clear. I want to make one more point clear before I go back to Frederick Douglass. I'm not going to forget my point.
Frederick can wait. Talk about this.
All right. The other thing that I want you all to know was that once we were naive because, again, we're not in politics. We didn't know how to win a referendum. We know now. Okay, we trusted some individuals we thought were giving us good advice. They weren't. But that's our fault. Okay? That's our fault. Ignorance, you know, is no excuse. Okay? You learn that you have to sometimes really be knocked in the head before you really realize that, hey, you don't know. Now learn, okay? We now know. We've been knocked in the head. So, we lose the referendum. We go on to other cities to look at other opportunities because the reality is we are in business with the MGM in Prince George's County. We are the second largest minority stockholder in the MGM Corporation, the first being a Chinese woman in Macau. The Chinese do not allow you to open a casino without the majority being owned by a Chinese person. Okay, so she's the largest. We're the second largest. We have $50 million invested in that casino. So it was nothing for us to come here and say, we'll invest $700 million in this city, create jobs, and do other things, so we lost. So we went to look at Chicago. If any of you keep up what's going on in the casino business, we start looking in other areas. We were called back by the Richmond City Council. All right, it was not at our initiation. Ann can tell you, Reba can tell you, you all brought us back. You all said that we have found out that there is no deal even coming close to what you all gave Richmond. We cannot miss this opportunity for the citizens because this is not just for Reba's district. This is for everybody's district. This is for the entire city. Okay? We didn't ask the city to even give us a traffic light. We were willing to pay for everything. Who doesn't want free money?
But Sister Cathy, if you would dig a little deeper, as I understand it, yes, the 1,500 jobs, but this casino would be the first in the nation to have profit sharing among the workers. Now that changes the game for every casino from this point forward.
That's right.
Now, when Carter G. Woodson wrote the book, Miseducation of the Negro, he was talking about Negroes in Richmond and Negroes in Buckingham County. And you still, and in the words of Mayor Maynard Jackson, we still have the scared Negro disease here in Richmond. Speak more to what you were bringing and what you still can bring.
The 1,500 jobs with the profit sharing were just beginning, because we were building a production studio to compete with Tyler Perry in Atlanta, Georgia. And we were going to become the first clients. It was a guaranteed success. We own 2 cable networks. We do all of our production in Atlanta, Georgia. We were going to become the first client to open the doors for you all having major television and movie productions done. That's another 400 to 500 jobs on top of the 1,500 they're going to be working in the casino. But let me just talk about those jobs for a minute with the profit sharing. You got 2 people in the household both working in the company. They're going to be making in excess of $100,000 a year, guaranteed. All right, that means they can become homeowners. That means they no longer have to depend on a welfare system. That also means that if they ain't got time to get in trouble, because they got to be at their good job in the morning. Okay, so they not hanging on the corner looking for some weed. Okay, they looking for some no-dos. Okay, because their boss just asked them, can they do a double shift tomorrow? All right, we're talking about construction. All right, we're talking about guarantee. Now, we're willing to put up all the money. One of the things that my family has been teaching other folks for many years is he who pays the piper picks the song. So if it's going to be my $700 million, I'm going to talk about and pick who's going to build.
Come on now.
Okay, all right. This ain't going to be no go to the government and beg them for a 20% set aside. This is going to be some black folks and some brown folks having some jobs in this city that they've never had before.
And Sister Cathy, those of us who have studied Richmond, Virginia, we've seen this before.
Thank you. This is not new to you all. You all are like a sleeping giant. This city was the Mecca. This was way before Oklahoma and Wall Street. You all were bigger than Oklahoma's Wall Street.
We were 5 times larger than Oklahoma. 20 years before. That's right, the Deuce. But there was a woman. There was a woman who was feisty. There was a woman who was competent. There was a woman who wasn't scared. There was a woman in the 3rd District in Jackson Ward. And as she ruffled the feathers and shook up the Italian dressing, it were the merchants on Broad Street. Some of them had big stores, tall hammers, who sought to run her away. But she didn't. She carried on. This is the embodiment of Mrs. Maggie Lena Walker today. Stand up for her.
I do what God intends for me to do. So anyway, I wonder who I am and why it is. I wonder why I just moved to Richmond. Okay, the real estate lady finally found me some place to live. It's not easy to find some place to live in this city. All right, real estate lady found me a place to live. So, quick story. My digital company had a relationship, a contract with Ancestry.com. So Ancestry.com said, we want a black woman in her 40s, we want a black woman in her 50s, and we want a black woman in her 60s. So they said, well, we want you to do our boss. And they said, well, she's 70. And they said, yeah, but we think if you really kind of look into her history, and they were talking about Piney Woods and Dr. Jones. When they looked into my great-great-great-grandmother's side, quick story. My great-great-great-grandmother was born a slave in Louisville, Kentucky. She had 11 children. She was married to a freedman, and a lot of people don't realize that all the Africans who arrived in America were not slaves. Some were skilled craftsmen, and they put them in the Midwest in places like Iowa and Nebraska. So, long story short, when Ancestry.com finished digging into my background, they not only helped me understand who I am and why I am the way I am, but they were so impressed. I don't know, do you all know that Ancestry.com is actually a Mormon company located in Salt Lake City, Utah? Okay, they sent their chief of research to present me with the information. So, here's my great-great-grandmother, and she has 11 babies. She's married to a skilled craftsman, and she does not want her children to be slaves. So she escapes with her 11 children. She's trying to get to Canada. She does not get any further than Iowa because she got ripped off. The money that she had stashed was taken from her by a white boat operator who was supposed to help her with the next slave. So she ended up settling in Iowa. Then went on a speaking tour to raise money to go back to buy the freedom of the 2 slaves who were the fathers of her grandchildren, because she didn't want her grandchildren not knowing their daddy. She became best friends with Frederick Douglass. He wrote a poem about her life and published it. You can research it. I mean, when Ancestry started doing this research, they were like, oh my God, we cannot believe this. We have not found a story like this before. She became second in command to Harriet Tubman because she had already figured out her own underground network, because she had brought her 11 children and gone back to get the 2 sons-in-law. All right? They found a letter from Harriet Beecher Stowe that said, it was to Harriet Tubman. Harriet, the work that you and Charlotta are doing is the work of God. Charlotta was my great-great-grandmother. So I feel for the first time, I'm sitting there with this Mormon white woman telling me who I am. I'm 70 years old, and I realized, and I said to her, where have you all been? Because if you all had told me this about 50 years ago, I would have run for president. I would have realized.
And won.
And won, absolutely. So, it's in my genes. It is in my genes. I come from a mission-oriented family. We have been taught since birth that in order to do well, you have to first do good for somebody else. Okay, that's what we meant by it like that. So when I say to you quite sincerely, I was not motivated to move to Richmond, although the brothers here are quite good looking. I'm
Good looking brothers, raise your hand.
I've been and well dressed. Okay, now.
Yeah, one way with talent.
So, I'm not going to lie to you and claim that all my motives are pure.
But that said, when we look at the city of Richmond, what do you think is the best of Richmond? And conversely, what do you think is the worst of Richmond?
The best of Richmond, the people, the legacy. Oh my goodness, like I said, when Yetta exposed me to the history here, and part of my fascination that caused me to move here is I want to know what happened. I want to know what caused it to change. Why would you all give up this level of power? And then when I found out about the Voters Crusade, 66 years you all been doing this. When my son got his MBA from Wharton, Governor Wilder came and was the speaker at my graduation party for my son. So afterwards, we're chit-chatting, having a little glass of wine, and I said, how in the world did you get elected governor of Virginia? Because of you all. because of this community. He would not have been the governor had not you all had that power base, had you all not had the cooperation. And he looked at me, but I wasn't trying to be disrespectful. It was just such an accomplishment for a person of African descent. I mean, the 1619 Project documents that 40% of all enslaved people in this country were in Virginia.
Wow.
And yet you all sent a brother to the governor's mansion? Give yourselves a round of applause.
But before L. Douglas Wilder got to be governor, they, the power structure, sent the son-in-law of a former president, Chuck Robb, to jump in front of him. Gerald Bliles jumped in front of him. And so he persevered.
Absolutely.
He took some hits. Mrs. Maggie Walker took some hits but carried on. You've taken one hit, but you will prevail because God has placed you here like Esther in the Bible for a time such as this.
Because of individuals in this room. All right, it is easy to prevail, persevere, not to lose faith when you've got folks behind you. All right, people you don't even know are giving you energy or praying for you or helping you. I didn't know Melvin Crowley. I was just trying to get me a barbecue sandwich a little confused because he was selling fish. I said, I thought the sign said barbecue. Okay, I didn't know him. And yet, in the worst health crisis I've ever been confronted was there he was. It's because of the individuals in rooms like this in this city.
Yes.
That we're able, but we've got to get it back together.
And that segues into what may this room do, and as disciples, what we do in Richmond to help the movement.
Number one, we got to stop being apologetic and acting like someone's doing us a favor. Black folks are the economic base of the United States of America. All right, especially
Say that again for people in the back.
Started. Okay, that's where it started. All right, and what they have done is very cleverly created mistrust. We do not like each other. We don't trust each other. That's intentional. We got to stop this fighting. We got to understand that there is power in unity. We got to start using our dollars to our advantage. All right. Everything in the United States of America could change within 24 hours if every black person in this country decided not to spend not one red cent for our 24 hours.
Hello.
You see stuff like you ain't never seen before. Okay, we're like, we didn't even ask for that. How we get that? Okay, they would be serving up stuff to us like you would not believe. We wouldn't have to march. All we have to do is one 24-hour period of not spending a penny.
Wow. Yeah.
That's all we have to do, is as simple as that. But they teach us not to trust. They teach us not to like each other. They teach us that if somebody else does something, then we're going to be critical, we're going to try to stop it. They keep us fighting with each other, and while we're busy over here, majoring in the minors is what my grandmother used to call it, majoring in the minors. They've taken over our communities, they've taken over our businesses. At one time, we didn't have to have any set-aside because we were the business community. If they wanted something built, if they want something done, they didn't have a choice but to come to us. And we allowed that to get away from us. We allowed this country to convince us that if we wanted progress, we had to have a leader. Who is the leader in the white community? Can somebody help me? Who is the role model? These are terms they don't even use in other cultures.
No.
One of the greatest individuals that this country ever produced, Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Yeah.
They literally slaughtered him behind a personal matter. What he did was between him and his wife and God. It had nothing to do with his leadership.
But I'll add to that. That pyramidal structure was given to us, that there has to be a leader. But that's our cultural and institutional
That's right.
amnesia. Look at your table. What shape is it? It's a village. That's what a village is. When I say Voices of the Village on the Gary Flowers Show, everybody at Melvin Crawley's table has an equal distance to that center source. Maybe the center source is empire building. Maybe it's banking. Maybe it's media. Everybody has an equal ray. We have to get back to the circle and leave the pyramid.
That's right.
So Sister Cathy, one, we have to start trusting each other again. I noticed the purple shirts that you have outside, okay? I wore this purple tie because I thought it would connect to the purple shirt. Why did you choose purple?
I didn't choose it. The campaign chose it last year, and I was going to change it, quite frankly. But then I realized how beautiful it looked when we wear it in unison. I also realized that purple is a sacred color.
Yes, it is.
It's a very spiritual color. So I decided, and if you notice, the wording is different, because there are individuals who are determined to distract us from the real issue of an opportunity for Richmond. Now let me just say to you all, maybe Richmond has decided that they're going to do politics differently. But normally in politics, and you know I was headquartered in the nation's capital until I came down here with Matt Matthews, who runs my radio stations here. When you vote for somebody, they're supposed to look out for your best interest, not take your best interest to some other folks. Now that's not to say that
Name names. Who would do that?
two individuals, a sister, okay, they elected because of votes in Richmond,
We know.
and Joe Morrison. All right? Now, I think that Petersburg deserves an opportunity. There is no question about it. But they have to get their opportunity themselves, not on the coattails of our opportunity. Because once we get our opportunity taken care of, we will help Richmond. They're our brothers and Petersburg. Okay, Richmond has always helped Petersburg.
Yeah.
All right? But we don't need somebody that we put in office deciding that they're going to represent a different constituency. That's not how politics works.
And if it works that way, then we remove such individuals.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There is no choice other than to get you people who are going to represent your best interests. Okay? And not take your opportunity to another area. That's number one in us learning to trust each other.
Absolutely. As we close, I want to get back to this purple color. We just buried the queen. What color was her crown? Lydia came to the well, bringing a garment of what color? What does the Pope wear on high mass in Easter? This sister has come for a time such as this, in the spirit of Mrs. Maggie Lena Walker, but also in the spirit of all of the unsung heroes and sheroes that came out of this city, that made Richmond the envy of Black America, that made Virginia ground zero for the American corporation. And so please give it up once again. Rise to your feet for the honorable, the courageous, and the queen, Mrs. Cathy Hughes.
God bless you all.
I've just been told I am now Oprah Winfrey's brother. You get a shirt, you get a shirt, you get a shirt, everybody gets a shirt.
Please, do not take the shirts as souvenirs. We need for you to wear them. We're going to start announcing on the air Purple Day. And on that day we ask, even if Charles Willis was kind enough to point out that the weather was changing, So put on your long johns under your shirt. Put your shirt on top. Please wear your purple shirts. We will keep supplying the shirts. We will give you souvenirs, but right now we need for you to wear the shirts. They say, fight for Richmond. Get good jobs, lower taxes, and better schools in Richmond, Virginia for yourself. Gary, I want to thank you. What you do on the radio, you are the Oprah male version in Richmond, Virginia. All right, all right, no question about it. You will tackle issues. Also, we've got to recognize my sister Boone over there.
Sister Jean Boone. Madam.
With the Richmond Free Press. Sheila Bell, thank you. You've done a great job. And last but not least, I have to recognize the woman who runs my entire operation, Karen Wishart, who is second in command to Alfred, who runs my company. If you all will start trusting each other, working together, we've got a team of sisters. We've adopted Reva. Reva's an honorary sister. I want you all to know. Okay. I've given her a card. Okay. All right. I don't care about nothing in the past. We're going forward. All right. And we are going to change this city for the benefit of all of its citizens. Whether they know it or not, their lives are going to improve. God bless you.